the end. I couldn't believe it. I was like, yes, boom! Fantastic. Okay, so I decided I wanted to talk about Habitus and how I thought it could benefit outdoor learning and how you could construct your sessions for outdoor learning. I know some of you may not necessarily do outdoor sports, but it can relate to like your environmental sessions. It can relate to your how you teach occupational therapy. All of them have an application in the outdoors, and all of them have an application to tie in with Habitus. Habitus is kind of a complex word. Everyone kind of goes, what the hell is it? The best way I find to describe it, and it is a bit, it's judgmental, I'll explain it and then I'll come back. But most people work with youth services. When they come in, they're very cliquey. They kind of have similar mannerisms. They have similar ideals. The way they talk to each other can be very, what to you can seem quite stand-up, or a particular way it can be aggressive, to them is perfectly normal. So they've basically created their own habitus, which is how they react. Okay, the habitus itself is built up of field, practice, perception, and capital. So I'll go into it and I'll explain. So the field is what they're doing. So their field could be they're going out to play football in the park. You know, it's an area. It's a defined grouping, social, physical, or classification. It could be that they're all related. It could be that they're all from a certain street, a certain park. Yeah. The practice is how they put those beliefs and ideals into effect in the real world. So because they come from this specific field, they all have similar values, similar ideas, and then when it comes to a certain situation, they all react in a similar way. Then with the practice, you have perceptions. It's like they build up, you know, like your mommy would always tell you, I don't know if anyone heard if you drink Guinness, it'll put hairs in your chest. It's a silly thing, but it's one of those perceptions, and it passes down because someone's told you, and it passes on, and it's a perception. You're told this is how it is. Now the capital, to tie back into Joe's thing, the capital is the value you put on anything. It can be a person, a place, a thing. So with these, especially with the youth services, and I know it's kind of pigeonholing them, is that they gain value in their social groups. So what they do is it's all of these things tie in, and it gives them capital. So when they are trying to decide, for her example, where the guy solved the problem on the ground, he was given capital. He was given a value for solving, because they were like, Jesus, that was fantastic. By doing that, he moves up the pecking order. By moving up the pecking order, you know, like it's like everything he does gets more and more value. It's like a cycle. Now, the youth services is very pigeonholing. It happens anywhere. If you have a group from a very posh school, they'll have their own habitus. They'll have their own way of doing it. Middle class income people, they'll have a habitus. They'll have this set mindset. It's like it's the cultural norm seen through a group in conjunction with their behaviours and reactions. It's just the youth service is an easy one because it's obvious. You know, you can see some of them that have the tracksuit bottoms halfway up their leg. They'll strut in, or the one that's really obvious is the hand down the pants. You're just like, why? But it's a really obvious marker, but it makes sense of this. This is what they're doing. It's a cultural norm for them. Okay, now I was going to do it in youth services, and I felt I was pigeonholing them. But I had the brilliant opportunity of going to Finland with Tomas, and it was an excellent example of watching someone with an already constructed habitus and how they changed it. So through collaboration and conflict, they were able to change their beliefs that they already had and bring them into a group, and then bring it back down and give them an alternate habitus. So kind of expand their horizons and give them a different viewpoint. With the Finland trip, these guys came from, although they would have had a field, so they would have been on the course, they were all health and leisure students. That didn't mean that they all had the same opinions. Some came from Cork, some came from Kerry, so they bring in their own ideals and their own beliefs. With this, they were given another field then, because they'd be told either you're a logistics team, or you're the planning team, or you're the finance team. They all come over. So in Ireland it's fine, because they're in their comfort zones. They're still in their normal sphere. But when they come to Finland, they now have to adapt to this new area, this new belief system. So when they got there, they were told that they had to be leaders. Being leaders, they had to take charge. But they're in an unknown environment, they're in an unknown area, they've got a group that they're not really sure about. And when they do that, they had to challenge themselves. The more they challenged themselves, the more comfortable they got. All those preconceived notions they had about it were kind of dropped, and they built a new vision because they had real experience to give them that new vision, right? With this, just to quickly, because I'm on time, with the future plans, what was really, really good was at the start of the week, they were very disjointed. By the end of the week, they were a really cohesive unit, and they were really caring, and you could see, although it may not be a permanent change, you see that they had the change. They experienced this alternate habitus, and by experiencing it, they might take it home. There'll be something that'll twig and it'll just give them that little bit of an expanse. Now, because I know I'm rushing because of time, where it's taken me. This stuff has blown my mind, I have to say. The whole power exchange and the whole power struggle, I think it's been fantastic, and I've applied it a lot with my scouts. So when it comes to their experiences, it's more that I'm more accepting of their different viewpoints. I've been told in time. But yes, that's my project.
Thank you very much, Vicki. Has anybody got any questions for questions for Vicki about Habitus?
Do you know, if you were taking a group, like you said, out of their comfort zone, and let's say coming from an area and say somebody was already the kind of perceived leader of that group, and you put them into a situation where they were uncomfortable, would you ever find resistance from that person that was kind of coming in as the leader or the dominant person?
Yeah.
Would you ever encounter resistance from them to the opening up into this new
So the beauty of this and what I think it can do, especially for outdoor learning session, is that you can see his discomfort and you can see the capital he normally has, the value he normally has within his social group. So if you can find a really clever way to keep his value, his capital, but make him feel more comfortable. So you don't want to, if you tell someone, no, that's the wrong way, you're crushing him. And in that scenario, that could end your session. So if you can be, oh, here, Aman, have you tried it like this? If you try doing it this way, or have you seen, we can go over here and we can look at this. Why don't you and your friend come over here? You're automatically adjusting their comfort, but you're not taking away their value. In my personal opinion,